Well, welcome to the 700 Club. For today's top stories, let's go over to the CBN newsroom.
Gordon and Terry, much of the country had a white Christmas. A winter storm dropped heavy snow from the Midwest to the Northeast. Amber Strong has a look at how the snowy conditions affected Christmas Day travel.
The weather outside was frightful.
It's really cold.
From the Pacific Northwest to New England, snow, snow, and more snow Christmas Day. In Washington state, snow and ice causing crashes along the highways.
People started stopping, went to check on the people in the truck, and that other truck ran into that truck that was upside down.
And in Pennsylvania, things were no better as a jackknife tractor trailer brought traffic to a dead stop along I-90. And in the Midwest,
it's cold. Cold is cold.
Sub-zero wind chills. But Midwesterners know a thing or two about the cold and say preparation is key.
You just prepare with your coat, your mittens, and your muffs, everything you need to take care of.
In the Northeast, a scary moment for passengers aboard a JetBlue flight as icy conditions caused the plane to slide off the runway.
Once I realized we were going off the runway, I was like, uh-oh.
JetBlue says there were no injuries in that incident. But not everyone is dreading the snow. These kids are taking the winter weather in strides and making the most of the snowy conditions.
We thought we would kill some hours sledding out here.
And for the parts of the country that missed out on their white Christmas, never fear. Forecasters predict the snow and ice will continue into New Year's Eve. Amber Strong, CBN News.
No snow in Florida where President Trump celebrated Christmas. The president made Christmas calls to U.S. troops overseas and fielded children's calls into the NORAD Santa Tracker program. He also, with First Lady, attended Christmas Eve service at the church where they were married in Palm Beach. Later that evening, he tweeted, "People are proud to be saying Merry Christmas again. I'm proud to have led the charge against the assault of our cherished and beautiful phrase, Merry Christmas." On Christmas morning, the first couple had a special message for the country.
This Christmas season, we celebrate our blessings as Americans, and we pray for peace all over the world.
On behalf of Melania, myself, Barron, and the entire Trump family, God bless you, God bless America, and have a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
The Trump administration has negotiated big cuts to the UN budget. UN spending will be reduced by $285 million in 2018 and 2019. There's no word on the impact this will have on the U.S. contribution to the UN. Ambassador Nikki Haley cited the organization's, quote, inefficiency and overspending in announcing the cuts. Last week, the UN General Assembly voted overwhelmingly to condemn the U.S. for acknowledging Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. One country that supported the U.S. in the UN vote last week is going a step further. The president of Guatemala says he's moving the country's embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. The Central American nation was among 9 countries that voted against the resolution condemning the U.S. This week, President Jimmy Morales announced on his Facebook page, after talks with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's instructed his foreign minister to begin moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. For the first time, a delegation from the Muslim nation of Bahrain has visited Israel. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem how this historic event came about.
We have 8 nights because they found only one little cruse of oil that was spiritually pure.
On the first night of Hanukkah, Rabbi Abraham Cooper made history by inviting a delegation from Bahrain to take part in lighting the first candle.
I think a kind of taboo has been broken, and I want to emphasize no governments. It's 2 NGOs that got together, trying to move things forward.
Cooper believes moving things forward means people talking to people.
We're not going to solve the Middle East situation, but if we can bring closer the normalization of contacts, it's a little ray of light in a pretty dark period out there.
His partner in the effort is the organization This is Bahrain.
Our message here is one of peaceful coexistence. We want to share with the world, and let's be honest, the world can be a very dark place. And at the moment, many people are finding themselves living in fear of extremism, radicalization, terrorists.
Israel's Channel 2 reported on the visit when evangelical leader Johnny Moore led the delegation on a tour of Jerusalem's Old City.
I took them to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and we talked about the Jesus that I love, the world that we're living in, and what could happen if we all started talking to one another and showing that actually faith, it's not the problem, it's the answer.
The visit follows the release earlier this year of the Bahrain Declaration.
The Kingdom of Bahrain Declaration is a very powerful and beautiful document calling for religious tolerance and religious freedom for all people of all faiths all over the world.
Still, the delegation met fierce criticism as Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah called for them to be stoned. While other Muslim leaders questioned the visit, the organizers wanted to present a different face on religion.
I feel very strongly that people of faith, the faith leaders, who unfortunately, religion these days is as much of the problem as it is the solution. But these are people who feel a sense of responsibility to try to take back the momentum.
Moore defends the dialogue and feels it's a new day for the Middle East.
There are people who believe that you cannot be committed to the gospel and to traditional Christian theology and have meaningful relationships or dialogue with Muslims or anybody else. And actually, there weren't any Christians when Jesus was teaching. The only people he had to work with and had to teach to were the people in the society that he was in. And he would connect his parables to their life and to their experiences. And I think this is what's happening.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Just before the weekend, President Trump signed his tax reform bill into law. The new law doubles the standard deduction for most taxpayers, putting more money back in their paychecks. But some fear the changes could hurt charitable giving. We spoke to Frank Nico, Executive Director of Planned Giving for CBN. He told us those who itemize will still benefit from the charitable tax deductions, and he added there's an even more important reason Americans won't stop giving.
The primary reason that people give, and this is going to continue, is that they love and support the mission of their favorite charity and the good works and the causes of that particular mission.